Hello YouTube vinyl community, music lovers, fans of the boss, and everybody else. My name is Jake, and in today's video I'm going to be ranking my top 10 favorite Bruce Springsteen albums. Let's get started. So welcome back to the channel, everybody. I just want to begin this video by saying thank you so much for 100 subscribers. When I launched this channel a few years ago, I didn't think that I was going to reach anybody. So the fact that I have 100 subscribers really means a lot to me. I really appreciate your support, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying my videos. I have a lot more videos planned in the future, so I hope you stay tuned for those. But today, I'm going to be showing you my top 10 favorite Bruce Springsteen albums. So the boss, he doesn't really need much of an introduction, honestly. Pretty legendary musician from New Jersey, pretty much the creator of the entire heartland rock genre of music, and I've been a lifelong Bruce Springsteen fan. One of the first songs I ever remember hearing was the song Sherry Darling from The River, which is an amazing song, and that just led me to become a huge fan of his ever since. And my family and I have a very rich history with Springsteen and his music. We recently saw the newest biopic called Deliver Me From Nowhere in the theaters. Really solid movie. And we actually saw him perform in 2024 at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. It was probably the best concert I've ever been to. He absolutely burnt the house down. Tremendous set list. It was just an incredible experience, one that I will forever be grateful for. And so I am extremely excited to be doing this video for you guys today. And let me just say that it's kind of hard to narrow it down to just 10 albums of his, because the albums that he's put out are not only fantastic albums in his own discography, but also for like the entirety of rock music history, some true masterpieces. So needless to say, I am ready to dive in. So without further ado, let's get into my top 10 Bruce Springsteen albums. Alright, so coming in at number 10, I'm going to go with his 2007 album, Magic. I think this is a really solid album from Bruce. I have a lot of nostalgia for this album. I remember when this came out, and my parents were shopping at Walmart one day, and we were getting a bunch of groceries, and in this stack of groceries was the Digipack CD of Magic, and we listened to this in the car so much. It is such a good album, and I understand that like a lot of people generally dislike this album because of the production. And I get it. It's loudness, swore, compression. These songs have hardly any room to breathe, but I can look past this flaw in a lot of ways because the songs themselves are really good. Like the opening track, Radio Nowhere, it has kind of like a 2000s alternative rock energy mixed with like the vintage Springsteen sound, and it's a really snappy and powerful cut from this record. And there's also a lot of nods to like Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys and Phil Spector in the production, with some songs like You'll Be Coming Down, Your Own Worst Enemy, especially Girls in Their Summer Clothes, which is one of my favorite Bruce Springsteen songs from the 2000s. This is such a good album. It's a very solid collection of songs, and for that reason I am putting Magic in the number 10 spot. Alright, coming in at number 9, I'm going to be going with Bruce's 1995 album, The Ghost of Tom Jode. So this was his second folk album of sorts after Nebraska, and yes, this album is not as good as Nebraska. It doesn't quite capture the magic of that album, and also the arrangements on this album are very subdued. Bruce kind of sounds like this the entire time. But if you look past all that and like pay attention to the lyrics and the stories and the messages behind these songs, I think this is a very gripping, emotional, and powerful album in his catalog. I really enjoy the title track, a lot from this album. It's just a really great metaphor for economic hardships in this country. Youngstown really resonates with me as someone from the Rust Belt, and seeing the declining industries, I can really feel the fire in that song. It's just a really great piece of Americana from Bruce. And then you also got songs like Sinaloa Cowboys and The Line, which are songs about like Mexican immigrants that are trying to make it in the United States. Just really well done. Side B of this album was kind of where it starts to fall flat for me just a little bit. There are a few songs where it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's okay. But the highs on this album are stupendous. And I think this is a really solid album in the Bruce discography. So at number 9, I gotta go with The Ghost of Tom Jode. Okay, moving on to our number 8 spot, and this might be a bit of a controversial opinion, but at number 8, I'm gonna go with Born in the USA. Don't get me wrong, this album is great. This was pretty much Bruce's second breakthrough after Born to Run, and this album was an absolute smash hit. It had 7 singles. I'm pretty sure all of them charted in the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. This album was everywhere in 1984. I couldn't imagine how massive this album was back in the day because I was not born yet, obviously. But even still, I think that in the modern day, this album kind of suffers from overplayed syndrome just a little bit. You still got Born in the USA playing every single July, which is really, honestly, ironic. And then you also got Glory Days, which has been played a lot. Dancing in the Dark is arguably his most popular song. I'm pretty sure it's his most streamed song on Spotify. If not, it's definitely in the top 3. So I understand that like a lot of people nowadays are kind of sick of this album, and even some Bruce enthusiasts, they would rather talk about other albums in his discography. And, you know, I think that's fair, but still, I think this album is awesome. I do think the title track is a really great use of lyrical dissonance, how the instrumental just sounds so uplifting and patriotic, but it's actually about how crappy Vietnam War vets were treated when they came back. It's just a very sarcastic song, and I just think it's really effective songwriting. Cover Me was originally supposed to be a Donna Summer song, but Bruce kept it, and I'm glad that he did, because despite its like disco influences, I do think it's a very catchy song from Bruce. I also love Working on the Highway. Man, I love that song. It was originally a Nebraska song. A good bit of these songs are actually written during the Nebraska sessions, and that song was one of them. And I can really see it because it's like a really dark story about this guy who just wants to find some chick after being disillusioned with his job, but she's too young, and then he goes to jail, and it's just a really dark story. You also got Downbound Train, great song. I'm on Fire. Man, that is such a sexy, sultry song in the Bruce catalog. No Surrender is anthemic. Yeah, this is just a really solid album from Bruce. I don't really play this album a whole lot, but all around, this is a really good album from Bruce. I can understand why it was such a success back in the day, and I can understand why a lot of people still talk about this album, and when they think of Bruce Springsteen, this is the album that comes to mind, because it is that great of an album. So, at number 8, I'm going with Born in the USA. So these next 2 picks are kind of interchangeable. It honestly kind of just depends on the day, but today, for my number 7 pick, I am feeling his 1973 album, The Wild, The Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle. So, in this early incarnation of Bruce's and the E Street Band's career, they were still trying to figure it out stylistically. Bruce was pulling from a lot of influences around this time. He was listening to a lot of folk and folk rock. Bob Dylan was a big influence on him early on. He was also listening to a lot of Van Morrison, a lot of rhythm and blues, soul, Motown music, and he was also exploring some of the palettes that his contemporaries were doing in the Jersey area. And what you get here on the Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle is a very eclectic album for Bruce standards, and this is probably his most progressive album that he's ever made, honestly. I mean, you got a hodgepodge of different ideas scattered throughout this album. Like the opener, the E Street Shuffle, it's basically a funk song. Like, it's abnormally groovy for Bruce standards. It's very horn-driven. And then you got Bruce's verbose, poetic lyrics on top of it all. It's just a very interesting song. It's really good, though. 4th of July, Asbury Park, one of my favorite Bruce songs of all time, probably. It's just a beautiful folk rock ballad. I could just imagine myself listening to this on the 4th of July with the stars up above me, fireworks going off in the background. It is such a vibe, super soft and beautiful song. I love it. And then you got like Wild Billy's Circus Story, which is like this really strange like folk song with tubas. It's like it's something. A lot of people don't like that song, but I actually like it quite a bit. Side 2 is where this album really shines, in my opinion, with Incident on 57th Street, which is basically Bruce's West Side Story. It is a wonderful song, great piano work. It just blooms in instrumentation throughout. The chorus is anthemic, just amazing. And then you got to talk about Rosalita. Man, Rosalita, that song is amazing. And I do think that Rosalita is a great indicator of like what Bruce would do later on. It is just such a roaring thumper of a song, really uplifting, great messaging, just has a very youthful, carefree energy about it, and I just love it. This is a really great album from Bruce. I know a lot of people would put this in their top 5, and I totally understand it. I think this is a really great album from Bruce. My number 6 is going to be Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey. I think this album is super underrated. And yes, it kind of has the same flaws as The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle. It is stylistically all over the place. You got like these rhythm and blues jams, you got like these piano ballads, you got just contemporary folk songs scattered throughout here, but these songs are so good. Blinded by the Light, I'm sorry Manfred Manns, but this is the superior version of Blinded by the Light. It is just a summer anthem. Like every June, I roll down my windows and I blast that song as loud as I can. It's such a great time. Growing Up is super inspirational. I absolutely love that song. It's basically like Bruce's From Humble Beginnings type of song. I love the messaging behind it. It is so good. And then you got like Mary Queen of Arkansas, which is just Bruce and acoustic guitar. Really effective ballad, as well as Lost in the Flood. Very good. For You is awesome. And you got to talk about Spirit in the Night. Great sax work from Clarence on that song. Super groovy. Kind of has like a jazz rock type of vibe to it. A little bit of Steely Dan. Man, this is an all-around really solid album from Bruce. These two albums, they were a very interesting time in Bruce's career, but he did really put out some great songs in this early stage of his career. Just really two really solid albums. So my number 6 is going to be going to Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey. Solid stuff. Okay, guys, we are now getting into the top 5, and let me just say that these 5 records are highly emblematic of a legendary career from Bruce Springsteen. All these albums are absolutely incredible. Coming in at number 5, this is probably the most underrated album in Bruce's discography. I gotta go with Tunnel of Love from 1987. Man, oh man, is this thing amazing or what? And you know, it's funny because like this album Has a lot of critical acclaim. I'm pretty sure it has a 5 out of 5 on AllMusic. Pitchfork gave it like a 9.5 out of 10. The critics absolutely love this album, and yet it feels like this album hardly gets talked about. I don't know if it's because it often gets overshadowed by Born in the USA from that same decade. I don't know if it's because of some of the recording techniques and the instrumentation on this album. It is very 80s. It's got a lot of drum machines, a lot of chirpy synthesizers. I know that might not appeal to a lot of people. Maybe it's because this is a very weighty album emotionally in the Bruce discography, but whatever the reason, I feel like this album deserves to be talked about a lot more than it is, because it is absolutely amazing. This was a very difficult time in Bruce's life. He was like really struggling with his first marriage with Julianne Phillips. He was trying to figure out how to be a proper husband, and their relationship just kind of fell apart. And this is a very brutal breakup album from Bruce. Just super, super emotional. Particularly side 2 of this album is where it really starts to hit hard. Two Faces Have I. Wow, like what a powerful song. Brilliant Disguise. The closing line of that song, may God have mercy on the man who doubts what he's sure of. Man, that just rips you right in the chest. Like, man, what a powerful, melancholic way to close up such a brilliant song. Wink, wink. But there are other great songs on here, like Tougher Than the Rest is amazing. All That Heaven Will Allow. Walk Like a Man is super emotional. This album is just brimming with emotion, and is probably, without a doubt, the most personal Bruce Springsteen album. Like, he is laying it all out there on this record. And it's funny, like, I watched an interview about this album pretty recently that he was recording this album alone in his house, and like he was having like the windows open and there would be cars zooming by, but he wouldn't care. Like, he would just record anyway. And I feel like this is how albums should be made. Not giving a care about any of the technical wumbo jumbo, just making very personal and heartfelt art. This is what Tunnel of Love is. An absolutely amazing album from Bruce. I love this thing front to back. Just, man, this album needs to be talked about more. Tunnel of Love is coming in at number 5. I had to turn my lamplight on because I am losing daylight. Sad. Anyway, it's time to move on to my number 4 pick. And my number 4 pick is going to be Bruce's 1980 double album, The River. And yes, this is a very long album. It's 20 songs, 82 minutes of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. But I have some good news for you. If you like a lot of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, then The River is your album. And, you know, despite its length, there are so many great songs on this album. It's just like great song after great song after great song after great song after great song. This is what The River is. Like, it is jam-packed with quality material. One thing that I really enjoy about this album is it kind of feels like a concert album in a studio. Like, it has a very bright and jangly sound to it that is kind of reminiscent of like what you would hear him do on stage. And like, he and the rest of the E Street Band are really giving it all in these performances. It almost has like a looseness to it that I really appreciate. Of the River's 2 records, I gotta say that the first record is definitely where this album shines for me personally. But you got side A. You open it up with The Ties That Bind, follow that into Sherry Darling, Jackson Cage, Two Hearts, and Independence Day. 5 bangers out of 5. What an incredible way to open up this album. And one thing that I really like about side A on this record is that Bruce is utilizing a lot of 12-string guitars. It's very loud, kind of has like a pub rock energy, but it also really has like a jangly power pop edge to it, and I think that Bruce really does that style well. And then Independence Day is just a very emotional folk rock ballad. It kind of hints like the strenuous relationship that he's had with his father over the years, and it's really well written. Side B, you got Hungry Heart, which was Bruce's first top 10 hit ever, and understandably so, because this is a very catchy song, very good pop soul influence, brill building pop, Motown. It all conglomerates into a really snappy song, and it's a really great Bruce cut. Then you also got Out in the Street, which is great. And then Crush on You and You Can Look But You Better Not Touch have a ferocious, like, hard rock energy to both of those songs that just does not let up. And they are very effective moments in the track listing as well. And then you got to talk about The River, the title track. Man, like, this is one of Bruce's all-time best songs. It's just a very crushing and existential song that it gives me chills every single time I hear it, particularly the lyric, "Is a dream a lie if it don't come true, or is it something worse?" Man, like, that is an absolutely powerful line. Just trying to find your way through life and all of its trials and tribulations, becoming a father at such a young age. What does marriage mean? What does love mean? It's just a very powerful song and very well written. Side 3 also got some great songs like Point Blank. Cadillac Ranch kind of has a country vibe to it, and it's really good. I'm a Rocker. Man, that thing rocks. Fade Away is pretty good as well. And then Side 4 is pretty solid, but I gotta talk about Drive All Night. Just how slow and despondent and just how beautiful it is. And this has like one of Bruce's best vocal performances. It is super emotional. Man, I love The River. Yes, it's long. Yes, it's a lot to take in on one sitting, but the amount of highlights on this album, it's really extraordinary in a way, because you'd think that by the end of this album, you would get bored so easily and you'd be ready for this thing to be over. But The River is one of those rare double albums where you have to like just be enthralled throughout the entire listen because the songs are just so good. Yeah, this album is pretty freaking great, and that is why I'm putting it in my number 4 spot, The River. Great album. Okay, we're now going to be talking about my number 3 pick. And I know that a good chunk of people would probably put this as their number 1, and I totally understand that opinion. But for me, my number 3 spot is going to be taken by Darkness on the Edge of Town from 1978. Now, what's funny is, if I did this video, like, say, 5 years ago, this would have ranked much lower on the list. It might not have even been in the top 10 altogether, which is kind of a shock because I understand how beloved this album is. But for some reason, it took a long time to get into for me personally. I always liked the singles from this album. Badlands, I really love that song to this day. Same with The Promised Land, 2 essential Bruce songs, if you ask me. But the rest of this album, I had difficulty getting into. And I don't know if it was because of its rawer sound. I don't know if it was because of its more somber mood compared to some of his other works. But regardless, as far as a rock album from Bruce goes, this was probably his most despondent album in this style. And nowadays, I think that this album is extremely effective in that regard. Just some very amazing storytelling throughout this album. A lot of these songs describe characters that are in very dire and bleak situations, and they want to escape the hardships of, you know, living in America, struggling to get by. It's really, really effective. Like on a song like Racing in the Street, you know, this guy's just so down and out, and he uses, you know, cars as a method of escaping life's hardships. You know, his relationship with his wife is strained. There's wrinkles around her eyes. It's just a really powerful song. Factory is also a really underrated moment on this album. Like, it's about this guy who's abusive, but the narrator just says it's probably, just the working life that's making him behave this way. And it's just really powerful. Another moment on this album that I really admire, Streets of Fire. Man, that is probably Bruce's best vocal performance, if not one of his best vocal performances. It's just such a fiery and powerful moment in the track list. I guess that's why they call it Streets of Fire, because he was on fire in the vocal booth for that song. And Adam Raised a Cane, a lot of people don't like Adam Raised a Cane, and that just makes me scratch my head every single time, because it is just such a visceral and like heavy song for Bruce standards. It has like a blues rock and hard rock tinge to it, and it's really effective, super well done. If you have this album in your number one, I totally understand. This is a great album from Bruce, and yeah, it's in my top three for a reason. My number three, Darkness on the Edge of Town. All right, so for my number two pick, we got to go back to 1982, and we got to talk about Nebraska. Man, I love Nebraska. At one point, this was my favorite Bruce Springsteen album. I will say that this album has had the biggest impact on my life out of all the Bruce albums, because this really is a timeless collection of folk masterpieces. And one thing you really have to admire about this album is that this really showcases Bruce's artistic integrity. He wanted to record these songs with the band, but he was dissatisfied. He put these songs on a 4-track, just mainly him and acoustic guitar, little bit of harmonica, little bit of mandolin here and there, ran them through an Echoplex. They were unfinished, imperfect demos, and what he got off of that tape is what we got on this album. And it takes a lot of guts to do that, especially back then. Now with home recording, it's a lot easier to get away with, but back in the day, like the label, they wanted more Hungry Heart. They wanted more hits. And Bruce said, nuh-uh, I'm doing my own thing, and I'm putting this out for my next album. And it's really admirable. And Bruce was really going through it. Like, these songs are very special to him because he was really suffering with depression around this time. After the River tour, like, he was just very disillusioned in his life. And he was like taking to like gothic writings. Charles Starkweather, who is the subject matter in the title track Nebraska, and he was trying to locate their humanity despite them committing such heinous crimes. And man, like, to find a muse in criminals, it's a brilliant concept, and I'm glad that Bruce was able to channel this energy into very emotional and devastating songs like Nebraska. Very austere, very dark sound. That harmonica that opens this song up gives me chills every single time. You also got Atlantic City, Johnny 99, Highway Patrolman, State Trooper. Like, all these songs are about people that have committed horrible things, but they make for some very evocative stories. Other highlights from this album for me include Mansion on the Hill, which is just a beautiful, pastoral, very introspective song. Also, My Father's House is absolutely devastating. What a powerful song. And Reason to Believe, very grim subject matter, but it makes her a very effective conclusion. There is not a single bad song on Nebraska. This whole album is just extraordinary. Incredible atmosphere. There is unlike anything else. Many have tried to imitate this album to very little success. This album is truly magical. A wonderful folk Americana masterpiece. just a phenomenal listen, a truly timeless spectacle. I can't say enough good things about Nebraska, and that's why I'm putting it at my number 2 spot. Okay, guys, it's finally time. We've gotten to my number 1 pick, and I'm sure you guys know what it is already. This is a very predictable choice for number 1, but it's true. Born to Run is my number 1. Masterpiece is the only proper adjective that you can use for an album like Born to Run. Man, this thing is so great. And you know what's funny? This album is 50 years old as of making this video. This came out in 1975, and it still sounds so slick and fresh to this very day. This album truly has a timeless sound to it, and I feel like that in 50 years from now, this will still stand the test of time. That's how great this album is. And the great thing about Born to Run is that on this album, Bruce finally found his sound. Whereas his first 2 albums are very eclectic and stylistically all over the place, Bruce finally streamlined an iconic sound for Born to Run. And the way he described it, Roy Orbison singing Bob Dylan, produced by Phil Spector, is a very accurate description of this album, I will have to admit. But on this album, Bruce Springsteen became Bruce Springsteen, and he invented an entire genre of music. That's how impactful this album is, and it is just front to back flawless. Every song on here is absolutely fantastic. Thunder Road, what a way to open up this album. It just has this youthful exuberance to it. It's a town full of losers, but I'm pulling out of here to win. It still hits me in my heart every single time I hear it. It's a very bombastic song, very triumphant. It is so good. 10th Avenue Freeze Out, it has kind of like a New Orleans R&B vibe. It's super catchy. It's about how the E Street Band got together. It's a very fun and uplifting cut from this album. Night is amazing. Backstreets is brill building pop perfection. Super glistening pianos. Very cavernous and powerful vocals from Bruce. Then you got the title track. I don't need to talk about the title track. It is just amazing. She's the One. It's just an incredible progressive pop masterpiece. You got these really layered keyboards. You got Bruce like kind of doing an Elvis impression. Then you got like these wall of sound guitars. It is just a very thunderous and amazing moment on this album. Meaning Across the River. A lot of people say that this is their least favorite song on Born to Run, but I absolutely admire this cut. It is just absolutely amazing. I love the sparseness to it. I love the occasional trumpet fills. I love the sparse pianos. It's a very moody and evocative song before we get to Jungle Land, which might be my all-time favorite Bruce song, hands down, period. This is 9.5 minutes of perfection. You get everything in this song. You got weepy strings. You got triumphant guitar chords. You got so many different variations in mood and tone. The finale gives me goosebumps every single time. 39 minutes of perfection is what Born to Run is. This is truly a marvel. An amazing record, truly emblematic of an incredible career for Bruce Springsteen. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about Born to Run. This album is just incredible, and it is indeed my number 1 pick. And that's all, folks. Thank you so much for watching my top 10 Bruce Springsteen albums video. I greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video and made it all the way to the end, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I got more videos planned in the future, so I hope that you stick around for the Drysdale vinyl experience. And until then, keep spinning that vinyl, specifically Bruce vinyl. I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.